Let's call this committee of the whole meeting for June 4, 2024 to order. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Alderman Yamas?
Here.
Alderwoman Garza?
Here.
Alderman Masiacos?
Present.
Alderman Donnell?
Here.
Alderman Franco?
Here.
Alderman Seville?
Here.
Alderman Tolliver? Alderwoman Smith? Here. Alderman Bug?
Here.
Alderwoman Bade? Here. Alderman Lash?
Present.
Alderman Warman?
Here.
Mayor Irvin's present.
Can I approve the minutes for Tuesday, May 21st, 2024?
Second.
Committee of the whole meeting, motion made by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Garza. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by voice vote. Mr. Mohammed, do we have any presentations for this evening?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. We have a brief mayor's report to highlight some of the events and activities of the next couple of weeks. As we know, June is Pride Month, and this weekend we head into Pride Weekend in Aurora. Super excited as we kick off the weekend with the annual flag raising ceremony. Friday, June 7th at 11 a.m. at One Aurora Plaza. We invite you all out. We have performances, we have proclamations, and we have the presentation of the annual Pride and Excellence Award for those members of the LGBTQ plus community and allies who really help to move the community forward. And I'd like to announce tonight that one of the recipients of this year's Pride and Excellence Award is our own Chief of Staff of the Alderman's Office, Rich Jacobs. So a big round of applause for Rich back there. Come on out on Friday. Come on out on Friday as we honor Rich and a number of other community members and just kick off the weekend really strong. On Saturday, the 8th, our LGBTQ plus advisory board is hosting their event. They're hosting a number of events this weekend, but they're Pride at the Plaza at Millennium Plaza, June 8th at 6:30. Drag show, DJ, just a fun time. Come on down for that. And then, of course, on Sunday, June 9th, is the annual Aurora Pride Parade. This is their new logo this year. It steps off at 12. We have our city float combined with the alderman, city staff, and supporters. We ask that you be there lined up ready to go at 11. And we know this is one of our biggest, most energetic parades, so we invite you on out for that as well. Again, a lot of activities this weekend. Stay tuned to social media just to see some of the extra activities. We also head this month into Juneteenth. As we know, a federal holiday, a state holiday, and thanks to Mayor Irvin and you, the City Council, a city holiday for city staff. And although the actual day is on the 19th, we are having a week-long celebration of Juneteenth beginning on the 13th with our annual Mr. and Miss Black Aurora crowning ceremony. These are young high school students vying for the title of Mr. Black Aurora, Miss Black Aurora, Prince and Princess. It will be on the 13th at 6 p.m. at Aurora University. Dr. Susanna Rivera-Mills is hosting us. Our guest speaker that day will be Fox 32 Good Morning Chicago anchor Anita Blanton, who also wore the crown of Miss Hampton University 20 years ago. So she comes out with us to inspire our kids on what it means to wear the crown with excellence. The next day, on Friday the 14th, we have our 4th annual Juneteenth food distribution at Phillips Park. And this is where 100 plus members of black fraternities and sororities, including a number of our staff members here, come together in unity to provide food for 1,000 families. This is in partnership with the Northern Illinois Food Bank. And so those flyers will be going out for the free food boxes for Juneteenth weekend and Father's Day weekend, so that free meal. But we look forward to bringing in these black professionals as we celebrate Juneteenth week. The next day, on the Saturday the 15th, is the 22nd annual Juneteenth celebration hosted by Ricky Rogers and the African American Men of Unity at MLK Park, 3:30 to 7:30. Looking forward to that as well. And then on the actual holiday itself, there are 2 events. One is the Juneteenth Youth Summit, 8:30 to 12:30 over at North Island Center, where we already have 150 youth signed up to go through workshops and different sessions. And then we head right out to the flag raising ceremony. And this year is the first year that the flag raising ceremony will be named after Alderwoman Hart Burns. It is also her first anniversary of her passing that day on June 19th. And so as the mayor proclaimed last year, we would honor her in many ways, including naming this council chambers after her, also the Juneteenth flag raising, an event that she helped to plan for 2 years prior. And so we look forward to raising the Juneteenth flag on that day as we conclude the Juneteenth week. And so you'll get all this information in emails and texts, and we look forward to seeing you out in the next couple of weeks. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. That concludes the mayor's report section of the agenda. Let's go on to public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any members of the public wishing to offer public comment?
We do not, Mr. Mayor.
All right, well then let's go on to the next section of the agenda, committee reports. Chairwoman Patty Smith, can you give the Building, Zoning, and Economic Development Committee report, please?
I certainly can, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to be moving things around a little bit to support the need for a petitioner to leave and get to another meeting. So I'm going to be starting with item 24-0367, an ordinance granting a conditional use permit for the telecommunication facility use and the establishment to modify standards on Lot 1 of Cyrus 1 subdivision, Phase 2, located at 2905 Deal Road. And we're going to start with this presentation first, correct?
Correct, yes. Trace Basic is her project, but she was unable to be here tonight. So I'm just going to hand it over to the petitioner for a brief presentation, but staff is here if there's any questions.
Good evening, Russ Whitaker, Rosenhoven Whitaker. Thanks for your time this evening. Here this evening on behalf of Cyrus One as the owner of the data center campus at Deal and Eola Road. This is a campus that was originally developed a number of years ago before Cyrus One came into ownership. We acquired the first building and have subsequently built 2 additional buildings on the campus. There's currently a communications tower, telecommunications tower that is on the campus, as you saw in that last image. It is a 350-foot communication tower. The communication tower is an integral part of the operation of the campus. Data that is housed in the data center buildings uses the point-to-point communication antennas on that telecommunication tower to provide access to data that is stored in the data center campus. The regulations regarding that tower and how clients are provided access to that tower is strictly regulated by federal government agencies. At this point in time, we are out of space on the existing tower. Simply cannot put additional antennas up. We know there is demand in the market for additional access into the data center, so there's a need to construct an additional tower. On this plan here, you can see the dark scale on the bottom right-hand side. I don't have a cursor, so I can't point to it for you, but there's kind of a black square with a white triangle located in it. That is where we will be building the new towers, approximately 60 foot south of the existing tower. The tower that we're proposing to build here is 300 foot tall, adjacent to a 350 foot tall tower. If we go to the next slide, I think we'll see an image of the tower. So this is the existing tower. This tower complies with applicable FAA regulations. It's galvanized steel tower, again, 350 foot tall. You can see the antennas on it. Structurally, well, it looks like you could probably stick some additional antennas on there. Structurally, the antenna cannot support additional towers. So again, we're looking for the second tower. If we go to the next slide, the second tower will look exactly like this tower. You can see the tower kind of extending up in this 3D image in this picture. The second tower will be located immediately to the south or just to the left of that existing tower. One of the things I would point out in this image is that there's a rather large setback to Eola Road, approximately 300 feet. If we go to the next slide, I think that separation in the landscape that is intermediate between the data center campus and the tower does a really nice job of screening that use that's in the background, more of an industrial type use. So if you're driving down Eola Road or if you're driving down Deal Road, you see that pond, you see the landscape, and that tower very much blends into the background. We think that will happen very similarly with the additional tower, again, being constructed of the same materials, not painted, and only slightly smaller. If we go to the next image, what we've done here is we've superimposed the new tower onto an existing image. So you can see a little bit to the left is the existing 350-foot tower. The proposed 300-foot tower is to the right. This is an image from just north of the data center campus on Deal Road. One of the things we think is beneficial with the co-location of these two towers is that from the north and the south, they're going to kind of blend together. If we go to the next image, here we're a little bit further west, just by way of perspective. Here we're about 3,000 feet northwest. The yellow star on the map to the right depicts the location of that image. You can see from about 3,000 feet away that tower kind of begins to blend into the background. The trees in this image are obscuring the view of that tower. If you go to the next image, I think this is the last one we have here. This is at the entrance to Mateo Valley. You can see Mustang Way on the street sign there. You can see the taller tower and then the slightly shorter 300-foot tower to the left. One of the things I would point out here is you see that we are immediately adjacent to the electric utility lines, which are transmission lines for the electrical power that serves this campus along with the regional community. There are a lot of these communication lines and other towers in the area. So this is sort of a consolidated location where you see a bit of this, and we do not think that the additional tower will negatively impact the community in any fashion. So we are seeking a conditional use for the additional tower because it is two towers co-located on the same site due to the unique trading or the unique data platform that is located in the building. We cannot comply with a number of the requirements set forth in code. So there's some setback deviations associated with the conditional use just related to separation of other towers and separation to property lines. So we've had unanimous support from the Planning Commission and through BZE. I think that sums up the presentation here very quickly. If you have questions, I'd be certainly happy to answer them for you.
Questions from the Alderman? I'm sorry, Alderman Smith. Alderman Lesh?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think there was only, I was at the Planning Commission meeting, the one couple who was concerned about the lights, and you had a lighting specialist there. Did you ever get an idea? I know that the lights on the new tower and the future tower at the new site are going to need approval by FAA, but what is the range on our existing lights? Did we get an answer on that?
Yeah, we did. So we were able to communicate directly with some approval agencies. We did find that the lights that are on the existing tower are the lowest lumens that would be allowed by the FAA. We investigated whether there would be the ability to do some shielding from ground level. That's not possible because snow accumulation, birds' nests, other things would obstruct the would obstruct the signal that's being offered. The one thing we were able to nail down was that we would be able to, because of the technology we'll be using between the two towers, we can synchronize the beacons so that when they are flashing, they will flash at the same time. So that I think helps to minimize any impact to residents.
And I assume you guys took care of all the other things that couple brought up?
Yes, we did.
Thank you.
I communicated with him in advance of the BZE meeting last week. We had crews out on Molitor, which is the residential road to the south, and made sure that everything was cleaned up to their liking. He's got my cell information, so he was to follow up with me if there was anything that did not get taken care of.
Alderman Smith?
No, I'm just ready to move on to the next one if we've got consent on this.
Consent.
Alderman Bug?
Yeah, very briefly, Mr. Whitaker. The people that, the residents that Mr. Lash is talking about, do they live in that house right there in the photo of Mustang Way?
No, that Mustang Way was the entrance to the school campus.
Yeah,
So
I only see one house there. I thought maybe they were the
So
people who had the.
if you were to continue that star to the south and go west on the road that you see there, they live on the north side of that road. I think that's Molitor Road.
Okay. Nobody else had any, no other residents had any
No, there
questions?
were no other.
All right, thank
other
you.
residents.
Any other questions? No objections? I'm going consent.
Okay. The next item is 24-0384, an ordinance approving an amendment to the plan description for the Butterfield Plan Development District on 32.08 acres of the property located at 2725 Bilter Road, being south of Bilter Road, west of Eola Road, and north of Interstate 88. Consent?
No objections? I'm going consent.
Okay, and then I'm going to read the next two for you. 24-0385, an ordinance granting a conditional use permit for the telecommunication facility 4211, use and the establishment of modified standards on the property located at 2725 Bilter Road, being south of Bilter Road, west of Eola Road, and north of Interstate 88.
Consent.
Consent.
I'm sorry, somebody from staff have something you want to add?
We have a presentation for
You told me to read all three together, and you'd give me a presentation.
I think we have the
I'm going to read the last,
presentation.
I'm going to leave the
Okay,
last
sorry.
one with this, and then you can do a
Okay, sorry.
presentation. That's, I'm following the orders I was given.
All right.
24-0386, a resolution approving a preliminary plan and plot of Butterfield Phase 2, Unit 5B on vacant land located at 2725 Bilter Road, being south of Bilter Road, west of Eola Road, and north of the intersection.
Consent.
And now you may go ahead.
Yes, we do have a brief presentation on this.
Go right ahead.
I'll be brief here. So, the image here is a depiction of a new data center campus that Cyrus One would like to build in Aurora. Existing campus has been wildly successful. We built building 3 on the existing campus, and it leased up past our expectations. So, we're proposing 2 new buildings as part of a data center campus just to the north. If I get the next slide, please. You can see the bottom of the screen is the existing data center campus. The top of the screen is the site for the new data center campus, which is about 32 acres. We will be building 2 new data center buildings. One is on 411,000 square feet. I think the other one's about 153,000 square feet. Associated with the data center campus will be a new substation. Substation will be located behind the data center buildings, and in association with it, we will also have 2 telecommunication towers. Those telecommunication towers will mimic the design of the telecommunication towers at the existing campus. If I could get the next slide, please. Here's a site plan layout. I think the one thing I would want to emphasize for the committee this evening is if you've been to the existing campus on Deal Road, there was an industrial building that was existing. It was sort of retrofitted for a data center campus and expanded from there. One of the difficulties we've had is with respect to security. There's simply not enough room in order to manage security in a real effective fashion. What we've laid out here and coordinated with staff is a western access that is primary ingress and egress to the campus. The eastern access, we're still working through approvals with the tollway, but we've got positive feedback from them on a preliminary basis. That eastern access is going to provide access to the rear of the site where the substation will be located. It will also provide egress for people who are not permitted access into the site. So when you enter the site, you will go through security just like you would at the existing facility. Unfortunately, at the existing facility, if someone's rejected, if they're not permitted access to the campus, they almost have to back up, and it influences traffic on Deal Road. With this upgraded design, we're not going to have that sort of conflict. We'll be able to, without permitting somebody access into the secure portion of the campus, reject that traffic, and they will use that eastern access point. You can see the 2 primary building pads. They will be built in 2 phases. The larger building is phase 1, smaller building is phase 2. Much like the existing campus, they will contain generator yards front and rear, and will house significant rooftop mechanical equipment. I would note that we've been working diligently with staff. We've gone out, we've done sound studies to investigate what is happening at the existing campus. We're working with a consultant. The consultant is taking all of the equipment we'll be using at this new campus. They've built a sound model to understand what the impacts would be externally. So one of the conditions of approval of this plan is that as we go towards a building permit, which is our next step here, we would design sound attenuation into whatever equipment that we would be installing here. So that may be a sound wall around the generator yard. It may be a sound wall on the roof to encapsulate mechanical equipment. We're committed to doing whatever is necessary to meet the applicable standards from the Illinois Pollution Control Board. If I could get the next slide, please. This is the elevation we looked at. This is the northeast corner of the building. We've got a lot of glazing on that corner of the building where this is a primary lobby entrance. There would also be some office space for tenants in the facility. So where we're wanting light and air into the building. We've got glazing here. Much of the rest of the building is more industrial in nature. I would point out the metal panel. You can also see some LED light features on the building. This is a very high-tech building, and so the intent here was that this is a much more modern design. If I could get the next slide, please. I wanted to point out landscaping. We spent a lot of time talking about landscaping with staff. I'm not going to go through all of the details here, but I think the point of emphasis is sort of like we have at the Deal Road campus, the image we looked at a minute ago. We've got layers of landscape, and if you look along 88, there's a significant row of pine trees that are labeled off-site, and then when you come onto the site from the south, you can see a layer of additional trees along the property line. You see detention basins. You see additional trees on the north of the detention basins. Sort of the same kind of feature when you're along the ramp, trees, stormwater basin, additional trees, the idea being that we're filtering the views into the campus in order to maintain the type of character that the city would like to maintain in this area. If I get the next slide, please. This is again just showing the idea of that filtering of the view of the building through layers of trees. Next slide, please. This is the existing berm that is located along 88. So this gives you an idea, just a perspective of what can be seen. Due to this roughly 7-foot berm and then 12 to 15-foot trees on top of the berm, it's actually very difficult to see the property that we'll be building on from 88. Next slide, please. The first thing you would see, if you could see into the site, would be the electrical substation. With staff, we've coordinated an upgraded perimeter to the substation. This is the wall and security fence that would be located around the substation. Next slide, please. And here that wall is in practice at a substation. So we're doing everything we can to use landscaping in order to shield the campus. When we're on the campus, we're using upgraded materials to appropriately build what will be a structure that the city will be proud of along the 88 corridor. Next slide, please. That takes me to the end. If there's any questions, we went into a lot more detail at some of our other meetings, try to keep it high level and move quickly, but I'd be happy to dive into any additional details.
Sir, I just want you to make clear that not only will the city be receiving property taxes from this facility, also utility taxes based on the large usage of the electricity that'll be coming through there. Now, it may be coming from our staff, but what do we expect that's after the building is fully built out, that the city of Aurora's portion will be of utility taxes per year?
Rough numbers, $90,000 a month.
A month, yeah.
Yeah.
On top of the property taxes that we'll get per year.
It is a very significant tax generator for the city of Aurora.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Alderman Lesh?
And just to, I know these data centers are huge, energy sucks, hence the big tax base coming from that. What is the carbon offset plan? I think you had mentioned something about your business as a plan.
Yeah, so Cyrus One does have a component of the business where they work to do to buy RECs. So that's the state has established programs where you buy offsets. You can pay for energy that's being produced from green resources, such as solar. That is the primary source where a lot of data centers or other large users of energy are going in order to make an additional investment in support of the environment. And Cyrus One does that same thing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other questions? Alderman Smith?
I just want to thank the petitioner for being here so many times and going through this presentation multiple times with us. You've done a great job, and looking forward to this thing moving forward.
Appreciate your time.
No objection, this item will go on consent.
All right, moving on to the next item. It's 24-0313, an ordinance amending Chapter 49 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Aurora, by modifying the zoning map attached thereto to rezone the property located at 1218 North Lake Street from R1, one-family dwelling district, and B3, business and wholesale, to B3, business and wholesale. Consent?
No objection, this item will go on consent.
Quick question, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Lesh?
I don't know if staff, I was also watched this presentation. I know we're putting a fence between the proposed business district there that they're turning from residential to business. But the residents on Old Indian Trail, have we talked to that family yet? The people that live there?
I'm not aware, but we're doing a 6-foot wood privacy fence.
Right.
Which will then be adjacent to that. The fence will be, I believe, on the inside, and then the landscaping additional on the outside in that 10-foot setback.
And who's responsible for maintaining that privacy
That would be
fence?
that'd be the restaurateur.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No objections, item go on consent.
The next item is 24-0314, a resolution approving the final plot of yes, I can say this.
Delgadillo.
Dilo subdivision located at 1218 North Lake Street. And then, Mr. Mayor, the next two items are resolutions. There's no action needed, but I'll go ahead and read them into the record. 24-040.
Hold on, just before we go on to the actions, the items that need no action. For the 240314, with no objections, item go on consent.
You guys got to keep up. Come on. Ready?
Go ahead.
Okay, 24-0403, a resolution approving the final plan and Lot 1, Meadow Lakes, Unit 26, Phase 1, re-subdivision located at 758 Shoreline Drive for a daycare 6310 use. And the next item, also no action needed, 24-0407, a resolution approving a revision of the final plan for Lot 1 of PDA re-subdivision located at 3055 East New York Street for an office, business, and professional, including medical use, medical clinic uses. Mr. Mayor, that is it for the BZ&E.
Thank you very much. Chairman Franco, can you give the Finance Committee report, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Finance Committee met on May 30th, 2024, and reviewed the following items. 24-0169, the resolution authorizing FH Passion, SN Nielsen and Associates, LLC, using the City of Aurora Job Order Contracting Program to remodel the City Hall fifth-floor storage area for $94,604.22. A 10% contingency of $9,460.42. This was deemed necessary to sufficiently accommodate the 5 additional staff members.
With no objections, item go on consent.
Next one is 24-0362, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to enter into agreement with LDV Custom Specialty Vehicles in the amount not to exceed $268,800 for the construction of a rapid deployment and surveillance vehicle for the APD's Special Response Team. Presently, the Special Operations Group uses a 2004 van that has a number of detrimental issues and hence needs to be replaced.
Lieutenant Rowley.
Good evening, committee. Lieutenant Rowley, I'm the Administrative Services Lieutenant for the Police Department. I only wanted to point out one minor scrivener's error that I made. My apologies to the Finance Committee. Several points on the memo to the mayor. I mentioned in this agenda item that this was for the APD Special Response Team. I erred. It's in fact for the APD Special Operations Group. So we're going to make those changes before it goes to final council. That's it.
Thank you.
Alderman Lash.
No, I just put it on unfinished. Thank you.
Unfinished, thank you, sir.
And the next one is 24-0411, a resolution to approve proposals to use existing funds for Luminara Festival, the city's first annual interactive light and sound experience. Total cost for these contracts is $214,500. $72,700 is from the state grant, and $141,800 is the city cost.
No objections, item go on consent.
And Mr. Mayor, that concludes the Finance Committee report.
Thank you very much. Chairman Seville, can you give the Public Health, Safety, and Transportation Committee report, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The PHS&T met on May 28th, 2024, and reviewed the following item, 24-0393, resolution establishing the maximum number of Class B on-site consumption liquor licenses unofficially related to the application from Hills Banquet Hall, LLC, at 649 Hill Avenue, Aurora, in Ward 3. Unfortunately, this business suffered a fire in 2021, and for lack of use, the license became void. They just built a brand new building they expect to open in 3 to 4 weeks, and there'll be a 440 people capacity, and it'll be a Class B license.
With no objections, item go on consent.
And that's the report, Mayor, from BZ&E.
Thank you very much, sir. Chairman Garza, can you give the
Oh, PHS&T, sorry.
Chairman Garza, can you give the Infrastructure and Technology Committee report, please?
Yes, Mayor. We met on May 28. The first item, 24-0350, a resolution authorizing the F.H. Pachen S.N. Nelson Associates, LLC, using the City of Aurora job order contracting program to perform restorative repairs to GAR Memorial Museum in the amount of $130,314.77 and a 10% contingency of $11,331.48.
No objections, item go on consent.
34-0373, a resolution approving the acceptance of proposal from contractors for snow and ice control service of various parking lots from 2-year term with the option of 2 additional 1-year extensions.
No objections, item go on consent.
24-0392, a resolution to award the State Street Water Main Replacement Project located in Ward 3 to Brand Excavating, Inc. in the bid amount of $347,465.00.
No objections, item go on consent.
24-0394, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to award a contract to Geneva Construction Company in the amount of $3,157,899.95 for the remaining site work associated with the new public work combined maintenance facility.
No objections, item go on consent.
24-0395, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing for entering agreement with the McKinsey Pros, Inc. for Nachi Planting Landscaping Maintenance in the amount of $88,036.
No objections, item go on consent.
24-0398, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to execute various contracts with the make additional purchase related to improvements to the Stolp Island parking deck, including painting and installing new lights, window tinting, and signage.
Unfinished.
Quick question, Mr. Mayor. on this.
Did you have a question on this? Did you just put on unfinished?
Yes.
You want staff?
Sure, it's just when, I think back in January when we gave the Aurora Civic Center Authority the $4.5 million blank check, the staff had said that they would.
Hold on.
That they would-
Hold on a second. Hold on. Don't make statements like that. Just talk about the money and stop ad-libbing and putting unnecessary language in there. Now, what question do you have?
The question is, staff said that they would come up with a plan similar to what was said back in December of '22 when we gave them $5 million and share that plan with the council on how that money would be used and how that we would bring those, the Paramount up to sustainability. So I believe that you said that we'd get a plan sometime in April. It's
Yes,
June.
Chris Minnick, Chief Financial Officer for the city. We are going through some final projections. We want to have the most up-to-date financial information. We do anticipate bringing something forward to Finance Committee late this month.
And just so it's clear to all the aldermen, can you just go into detail, and you also, Mr. Alexander, about how often, how many times you meet with Aurora Civic Center Authority and how many iterations of this plan we've gone through so we can get it right?
Yeah, well, we did start, I believe, back in early 2023. We've met, I'm going to guess, probably 7 to 10 times with ACCA personnel since then, in terms of site visits to their office, in terms of combing through their financial reports, their financial data, and gathering and understanding of the programs that they undertake, as well as their revenue structure and their cost structure, their fundraising structure, all of those particular items. In addition, we want to take a look at how the city finances and financing fits into that arrangement. So we have gone through several months and actually a couple years worth of financial data to come up with the plan that we will be bringing before you a little bit later on this month.
Thank you. And Mr. Alexander, you just talk a little bit about the fact that you and I have been directly involved with helping them formulate this plan of action going forward and hopefully sustaining them, from this point on.
Yes, sir. We have been consistently working and meeting with Mr. Rader and Jim Jarvis, as well as their board. They have had plans in place. It's a very fluid situation at times with the theater industry, but our goal was not to prematurely release something that wasn't going to help them be sustainable, Alderman Leish. So that's the word, and that's the goal. And so,
And just to be clear, let's talk about the fact that this theater, like all theaters around the country, were affected by COVID, and this organization, ACCA, is entirely too important to the city of Aurora in our downtown to allow it to fail.
That's correct, and they continue to see the effects of COVID, but compared to other theaters, they are well ahead because of the collaboration and the communication and the support of the city. And so they're laying out their plans sort of at the same time as ours. And as Chris pointed out, their pro formas, we want their most up-to-date projections and pro formas. And part of that includes their current operations between what they do for us at River Edge Park, what they do at Paramount and the Copley Theater, as well as the soon-to-be opened July opening of the Stope Island Theater. So it's a larger, more involved project that we want to get right. And so that's why we've taken some additional time. But the direction to staff is late June, we will come forward with that comprehensive plan at last for your consideration and approval.
Any other questions? Alderman Leish.
So we do have all of their financial data. If somebody were to use the Freedom of Information Act to request that data, we have it.
We have, we don't have I think we're waiting for some at the end of this week, their latest.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the Alderman? No? We're
So want to be unfinished?
unfinished. Next item.
We conclude the meeting, Mayor, with that.
Thank you very much. Chairman Warman, can you give the Rules, Administration, and Procedure Committee report, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Rules Administration and Procedure Committee met on May 21st, 2024, and reviewed the following items. 24-0372, a resolution approving the appointment of Mateya Acosta, Lincoln Majerski, and Harishatha Chanda to the Aurora Youth Council.
No objections, item going consent.
Next item on the agenda, 24-0374, a resolution approving the appointment of Gerald Paulson to the Aurora Veterans Advisory Council.
No objections, item going consent.
Next item on the agenda, 24-0380, a resolution approving the appointment of Jean Hess, Emily Hinton, and Gabriella Gayton to the Cities Advisory Commission for Disabilities.
No objections, item going consent.
Next item on the agenda, 24-0388, a resolution authorizing the appointment of Jasmine Garcia to the Fox Walk Overlay District Design Review Committee. However, this needs to be moved to unfinished due to a potential conflict I have with the candidate, so.
Unfinished.
Next item, 24-0400, was also walked on for RAP Committee to discuss. This item is listed under New Business section in this agenda. And Mr. Mayor, that concludes RAP.
Thank you very much, and that
You're
concludes committee report. So let's go on to that new business. Madam Clerk, will you read the first item under new business?
24-0400, a resolution authorizing the appointment of Michael Hanzik to the Bicycle, Pedestrian, and Transit Advisory Board as a student member representative.
And is Ms. Voigt here in the room with us? Now can you explain to the council about the unique and first-time situation with this new member of the advisory board, the Bicycle, Pedestrian, and Transit Advisory Board?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Alex Voigt with the Mayor's Office. Before you this evening on new business is proposed to be the city's first student member of one of our boards and commissions. Back in 2021, when the City Council approved amendments to the boards and commissions ordinances as a whole, we included a provision that allowed for student members. And this representative lives in Ward 10. He is a student at Mateya. He will be a junior this next school year. Is very interested in participating in the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Board and will be working to help promote bicycle safety bicycle awareness and those sorts of things. We're very happy to have this nomination.
Any questions? Yay, Ward 10, the Mateo Valley. No objections, item going consent. Next item.
24-0421, a resolution approving the appointment of Ileana Rivera Nunez as Community Engagement Manager.
Mayor, I do have a conflict. I don't know if I need to recuse myself and leave the room now, or are we just simply going unfinished?
We'll put that unfinished. If any alderman does have any questions, we have Ms. Rivera Nunez here in the room today. If anyone want to ask questions, if so, at that point, we'd have you leave. If not, we'll just put this on unfinished for next week. Any questions? There being none, we'll put this on unfinished, and you can recuse yourself next week. That concludes new business. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
All right, let's go on to staff report, open data portal overview.
Good evening, Mayor and Alderman. Andrew Fairborn, Director of Data Analytics for the city, and with me today is DR Talabani. He's our city IT data analyst.
Do me a favor, brother, pull that microphone a little bit closer to you so we can hear you.
Sorry.
There you go.
DR and I were asked to provide the council an update this evening regarding the city's open data initiative. Following the recent release of the police department's latest open data related to police citizen interaction survey data, it was suggested that this might be a good time to come before the council and provide you a brief overview of the open data portal's current content. Just as a way of giving a little background, the first vestiges of the city's open data initiative dates back to around the time of the COVID outbreak in 2020. That was the first time that the Data and Analytics Division first published some open data related to the COVID pandemic itself. At that time, we were publishing the data to the city's main website, as it was prior to the official launch of the open data portal site for the city. But subsequently and more officially, the mayor's office initiated and opened a data strategy and initiative in September of 2021, which resulted in the drafting of the city's first open data standards operating procedure. The city's SOP manual established at that time that the city of Aurora places a high value on transparency and innovation and seeks to make available to the public data and information that is useful and beneficial to stakeholders. As such, the city prioritizes investing staff time and resources in enabling public access to data for which there is a demonstrated and validated public interest. Since establishing the Open Data Standards Procedure, the Data and Analytics Division, in coordination with the Mayor's Office, as well as a variety of data owners across multiple city departments and divisions, have begun identifying and curating and publishing various data sets on the city's open data portal. And since launching the official open data portal in September of 2022, we have data sources that have been published on a variety of topics related to the city's services and operations. I will now hand over to DR to present an overview of the data portal itself and highlight some of the content that's been published to date on the site.
Hello, I'm DR, the data analyst, and I'm going to be walking you through the website, but first I wanted to make a few points. The first one was about open data versus public data. So with open data, what we have here, it's something that's information that's available on government websites, that's well-structured, documented, it's maintained and updated frequently, as opposed to public data, which is oftentimes undocumented, as per documentation, might not have best practices or updated frequently. So where we come in with the Mayor's Open Data Initiative is that it's information for the public that's accessible, it's understandable, it's easily accessible, and it's enhance or encourage public engagement, and it's about transparency. So what you see here on the monitors is the Open Data Portal. I just want to make another disclaimer. This is not the city website. So just think of this as like a sister website. So if you want to engage with the city, or if you want a city service, you go to the City of Aurora website. If you want information about how the city is performing in different departments, information about the city in general, you come to the Open Data Portal. And the easiest way to get there, there's multiple links to it. You could get to it through the city website, but to be honest, the easiest way, take out your phone, just Google City of Aurora, Illinois, open data. We're like the first link. It's the best way to get to it. So this is the landing page. And from the landing page, we always link back to the actual city website too, because we're not trying to replace the city website. We have tiles for different pages for the police department, for Aurora Public Art, Grand Army Military Museum. We just launched, near the end of last year, the Aurora Public Works portal, which has lead service replacement and Julie tickets and different inventory maps. So I'm going to click first and go to the Aurora Public Art one. So in it, you'll find information, context about the Aurora Public Art gallery. We always link back to the city. We have metrics on visitors. These top metrics are always like context sensitive to the department. So for public art, it's visitor counts and events, yearly events. So we'll always have interactive dashboards. And we always, what we try to do with open data is we'll have a narrative on the side explaining what the insights are for these dashboards that are interactive. And then there's also a map. We have interactive maps on most of our pages. And I'll click through the GAR website as well. Same thing, it'll have context, narrative, link back to the city website, different metrics on visitor counts, events that happened, insights about specific events. We have, I'm going to go to the Aurora Public Works open data portal. We're going to check out lead replacement. This one is a favorite with a lot of the staff. So part of open data is we also have narratives. Besides narratives, we have definitions and terms describing what we're talking about. We have resources for external websites for more information. This one has a pretty cool map at the very bottom, which you can put in your zip code and find out if your home's in Aurora had lead replaced or whatnot, when it was replaced and what year. These are all interactive. And then the last one that I wanted to click on was the Aurora Police Department Transparency Portal. So this one has about 4 or 5 other pages. And we have things like community policing. We have a My90 app, survey sentiment analysis, feedback. We have crime stats, which has NIBR's crime data information. Yeah, and we have professional standards, which has information on officer complaints and commendations and visuals and narratives explaining that. What we're currently hoping to publish soon is the Aurora Fire Department portal, which has its own like 4 or 5 sub-pages in terms of fire prevention, EMA, EMS, fire stats, things like that.
Happy to try to answer any questions we can. To which section? Just those numbers there, Alex? Yeah. So for all of the sites that we publish, we try to have some of the key metrics at the top of each site. So this one's for the police department. So I think Alex is asking us to show the metrics there for the police department.
And you step up and speak into
Sorry, yeah. So I think what Alex was asking me to mention here is that for each of the pages that we publish, we work with the stakeholders, the data owners, to identify some key metrics. And typically at the top of every page is going to be, or main page at least, is going to be some of those key metrics for that particular department or division. So with the police department, we had a few of them up there at the top. And then if you go and drill down into further into some of the other pages, you start to get into more of the specific data sets that the data owner has identified for publishing. And so with the police department, we've got quite a number of them in a variety of different areas related to their crime statistics, related to their community-oriented policing officers, workforce diversity, community policing, there's a variety of them. So we encourage you to go out there and explore and discover.
Are you done? All right, Alderman Lash?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What is the timeline between an incident? So if there's an incident that the police get called to, and the time that it appears into the open data portal?
I'd have to go back and double check. It's been a while since we ran that particular project, but if I can get back to you on that. There is a delay of some sort based on input from the police department. We established with them what that time frame should be to avoid, mishaps, right? People, ambulance chasing and things like that. But that was established at the input of the police department itself. I don't recall off the top of my head what that exact frequency is or whatnot, but I can get back to you.
Okay, because the time, what happens is something happens overnight, and that's when the older people get a call. And what happened, and even when you go to the data portal, usually it's not updated, but also it's lacking in information. And then my second question was, do we have any data on how many people are using the portal, just out of curiosity?
We're looking into that right now. We've been struggling with some of the technical details behind how the site works and how visitors go to it. So we're working on that is my best answer right now. I'd have to get back to you until we can get solid numbers on it.
Thank you. No further questions, Mr. Mayor.
Any other questions? None? Well, thank you very much. I appreciate giving us this presentation. We look forward to this being complete and in use regularly by our citizenry.
Thank you, Mayor.
And just to be clear, before we started this project during this administration, none of this existed.
That would be correct,
Exactly. No information that the alderman keeps asking about would ever been open or public or accessible to the community in a fashion as it is now, right?
Yes, and maybe to answer maybe a little bit of your question, Alderman, if you look at the incident map and the police reports map that are published, I believe that the timeliness is within the day. So, but I'll have to get the very specifics back to you.
But to be clear, the purpose wasn't for it to be real time. It was just purpose was to give our community information about what's going on here in the city of Aurora, right?
That's correct. And each data owner that we meet with, we have to establish what the frequency of the updates is going to be based on the data set, how complicated it is. There's a number of factors that go into the refresh rate for the data. Some of it's our time and processing and things like that. So it does get kind of complicated, but it's a two-way dialogue between our division and the stakeholder, the data owner, whoever that happens to be. In this particular case, obviously, it would be the police department, and with input from the mayor's office as well, I would assume. But yeah.
Is it just another level of transparency on our part?
Correct.
Thank you. Any other questions? None? Thank you very much. We appreciate the presentation.
Thank you.
All right, there is no need for a closed session this evening.
Second.
There's been a motion to adjourn by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. All in favor?
Aye.
This hearing is hereby adjourned. You do the same, brother.